Hi guys, it's Mina, and I'm really bored right now and I have nothing to do, and I have a couple hours before I gotta go to work. So today I'm going to read you guys a book because I haven't done that in a while. Today I'm going to read you guys Beauty and the Beast. And warning, this is going to be a two-part video because I am not a very fast reader. And I also have two reviews, another book video of me reading Beauty and the Beast. If you want to see that video, I'll link it in the description box along with my two reviews of Beauty and the Beast. So I'm going to get started. The old woman Oops, sorry, I skipped one. Once upon a time in a faraway land, a young prince lived in a shining castle. Although he had everything his heart desired, he was spoiled, selfish, and unkind. One freezing night, an old beggar woman came to the castle. She offered the prince a red rose in return for shelter from the cold. Repelled by her ragged appearance, he sneered at the gift and turned her away. "Do not be deceived by appearances," she warned him, "for beauty is found within." The old woman was really an enchantress who saw the prince had no love in his heart. As punishment, she transformed him into a hideous beast and placed a spell on everyone in the castle. She gave him an enchanted mirror as his only window on the outside world. The enchantress left behind the rose she had offered him, which would bloom until his 21st year. For the spell to be broken, he must learn to love another and earn the person's love in return before the last petal fell. If not, he would remain a beast forever. Not far from the castle was a charming little French village. There lived a beautiful girl named Belle who loved to read about far-off places, daring sword fights, and magic spells. A princess in disguise. She always had her nose in a book, and the villagers laughed at her, even though they liked her. And Belle was no different from them. Belle was so different from them. Sorry. One bright fall morning, Belle crossed the town square. She was too busy with her book to notice the handsome, conceited Gaston, whom all of the other village girls admired, but Gaston had noticed Belle. "Now that's the girl I'm going to marry," he vowed. "She's the only one who's worthy for me." Just as then a loud explosion boomed from Belle's house. "Papa," she cried, running for home. In the smoke-filled cottage, Belle was relieved to find her father, Maurice, in one piece. "What happened, Papa?" she asked, gazing at the ruins of his newest invention. "I'll never get this hunk of junk to work," cried Maurice in frustration, giving his contraption a kick. "Yes, you will, Papa," said Belle. The invention looked like an old armchair on wheels with a huge engine attached to it. A maze of pipes, whistles, bells, ropes, and pulleys erupted from the back. Inspired by Belle's confidence in him, Maurice seized a tool and went back to work. Hang on a minute, and I'll just check it from here. Oh, good. Sorry, I wanted to check the time. Philippe whinnied nervous. Wait. I think I skipped a page. Oops, I did skip a page. Sorry. That afternoon, as Maurice set off with the invention, Belle called after her father. "You will win the first prize at the fair." Their patient horse Philippe carried Maurice and pulled the heavy cart behind them. A cold fog soon swallowed up the travelers. Hours later, they were still on the road. Absent-minded, Maurice pulled out his map and exclaimed, "This thing is printed upside down. We'll never get there. Come on, Philippe, let's take this shortcut through the woods." Philippe whinnied nervously at the gathering darkness. Mist rose around them, and a cloud of bats took flight. Maurice looked back fearfully at the sound of prowling wolves, and Philippe reared up in alarm and lunged forward. "Whoa, Philippe, whoa!" cried Maurice, as the terrified horse almost ran them over a cliff. Then Philippe heard a blood-chilling howl and threw off his rider. Dazed by his fall, Maurice stared into the mist after the fleeing horse. Then the sound of approaching wolves roused him to action. He fled down a dark hillside, dodging gnarled branches and knobby roots, until he stumbled on a huge ornate gate rusty from disuse. Desperately, he wrenched the gate open and fell through it, slamming it behind him just as the wolves attacked. Breathless, Maurice crossed the neglected grounds of a forbidding castle and approached the door. When no one answered his knock, he stepped cautiously inside. "Hello, hello," he called into the vast, echoing chamber. "Not a word," whispered a mantel clock to a gold candelabra. "Oh, Cogsworth, have a heart," the candelabra replied. Then he called, "You are welcome here, monsieur." Maurice was amazed to see a talking candelabra. Maurice sank into a chair as Cogsworth looked around nervously for his master. Guests were never allowed at the castle. Then a tea cart arrived with Mrs. Potts, the teapot, and her son Chip. Suddenly, a huge, hulking figure stormed into the room and loomed over Maurice. "A stranger," growled a savage voice. The great clawed hands seized the terrified inventor and carried him to a dungeon. At home in the village, Belle was awaiting her father's return. When there was a knock at the door, it was the hunter Gaston, all dressed up. "Come in," Belle said reluctantly. She didn't know that the crowd had gathered outside to watch Gaston propose to her, then marry her on the spot. Gaston demanded, "Say you'll marry me." Belle backed up against the door as she advanced on her. "I'm very sorry, Gaston," she stammered, but I just don't deserve you, but thanks for asking." Belle's fingers found the doorknob and she pulled the door open, causing Gaston to tumble out. He landed in the mud puddle just as his friend LeFou struck up the wedding band. Gaston got up from the puddle. "She's just playing hard to get," he told the strange crowd. Then he stomped away. After the crowd had gone home, Belle went into the yard to feed the chickens. Hearing a familiar whinny, she turned to welcome her father and just saw that Philippe had returned alone. "Philippe," she cried, "where's Papa?" The big horse snorted and whinnied anxiously. "What happened?" asked the terrified Belle. "Oh, you must take me to him." Belle gathered her skirt and leaped astride the tired horse, who turned bravely and thundered back toward the dark forest. Horse and rider plunged into the gloomy trees, but Philippe slowed down as they approached the crossroads. "Which way, Philippe?" asked Belle. Reluctantly, Philippe headed downhill into the mist-shrouded woods where he had left Maurice. Soon they arrived at the gates of the forbidding castle. "What is this place?" asked Belle in wonder. Timidly, Belle entered the silent castle. "Papa," she called, "are you here?" "It's Belle." Cogsworth, Lumiere, and Mrs. Potts, astonished, followed her silently through the halls. "Don't you see?" Lumiere whispered to Cogsworth and Mrs. Potts. "She's the one we've been waiting for, the one who will break the spell." At last, Belle found Maurice in a remote dungeon. "Oh, Papa," she exclaimed, "your hands are freezing. We have to get you out of there." Suddenly, Belle sensed danger and whirled around to see a massive shape of in the shadows. "I'm the master of this castle," the beast growled. "Please," she explained, "let my father out of here. He's sick." He shouldn't have trespassed here," replied the beast. "Then take me instead," Belle demanded. The beast stepped out of the shadows, and then she saw him clearly. She gasped in horror. "You must promise to stay here forever," said the beast. "You have my word," Belle replied steadily, despite her fear. "Belle, no," cried Maurice. "You don't know what you're doing." But the beast dragged him from the cell and took him to the courtyard. "Take him to the village," said the beast said to a planquin. I have no idea what that word is. Planquin, which trotted him away with Maurice inside. Belle watched from the window, sobbing because she hadn't been able to say goodbye to her father. The beast returned to the tower to find Belle crying. "I'll show you to your room," he said gruffly, not knowing what else to do. As Belle followed him, he added, "You can go anywhere you like except for the west wing. That's forbidden." The beast opened the door to a comfortable bedroom and said awkwardly, "You'll join me for dinner." Belle was left alone with the wardrobe, who was thrilled to have a beautiful girl to dress. I love this book. Okay, so it's 12 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'm going to stop the video here so it doesn't get too long. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next part. Bye!